2025 has been a long year, hasn't it? At the very least, it has felt that way to me, which means it's unsurprising that looking back on my gaming year, there are games at the beginning of the calendar that I could have sworn I had played years ago, but the list does not lie. As always, this video will be organized by when I started playing certain games, and I will be talking about all of them, both those I've already covered for the channel and those I have not. At the end, I will be making my picks for the honorable mentions and my game of the year, so stick around for that as well. Vampire Survivors. The first game I played this year was Vampire Survivors, which was fun in the numbers go up addictive sort of deal. It did get old pretty quickly, and I found the last couple times I was playing that I needed to play additional music or even watch something to keep entertained. Good experience, don't feel a need to go back to it. Core Keeper. In my efforts, along with my friend, to find great co-op games for us to play online, since we don't live near enough to each other to regularly play in person, we decided to play Core Keeper. It was fun building up our base and discovering things. I do love the amount of optimization buttons and certain features like being able to pull from nearby chests for crafting. We took a break after beating the first couple bosses though, and haven't been back to it since. Tales of Grace's F Remastered. The game that kicked off the Tales of Remastered project, which has been an interesting topic over the course of the year, to say the least, Tales of Grace's has some stellar gameplay and a story that has not stuck with me. Definitely a worthwhile game for Tales fans to play, and I'm glad it is available for more people now. Yakuza Like a Dragon. The first stream game I played this year was an absolute blast. Yakuza Like a Dragon is where the series went to being a turn-based RPG instead of a beat-em-up, and I had a really good time with it. The gameplay is quite good, but for me, it was the setting of real-world Japan and the immensely lovable protagonist with a story that touched on a lot of real-world issues. Beyond that, there is so much side content that you can really dive into for the Yakuza series, and I enjoyed what I did, and I know many others enjoyed far more than I did. Another example of why 2020 was one of the best years for gaming. Trails Through Daybreak 2. The second game in the Calvert arc, Trails Through Daybreak 2 was a refinement on the gameplay of the first Daybreak game while focusing more on character and less on advancing the main story of the games. While enjoyable, Daybreak 2 does not rank highly on my overall Trails list, but to be fair, that's a hard list to score high on given how much I love the series. Suikoden 1. My introduction to the series, and I think it is a very good one. Suikoden 1's huge cast and complicated political dynamics plus high narrative stakes made it an entertaining ride that I think any story-rich RPG fans would enjoy. The gameplay is mostly good and it's great to build up your base. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. The final Wii U game that I was waiting to come to Switch, Xenoblade Chronicles X has a fantastic world to explore, gameplay to settle into both for regular combat and mech, and enough in the story to keep me going. There were some design choices that reduced my enjoyment, such as how story progression was gated off, but otherwise this was a fun time so long as you're not expecting the narrative depth of the main Xenoblade games. Split Fiction. Hazelight's newest co-op adventure, of course, was a play for me and my friend, and we had a great time. We didn't completely shut off our brains from the story like we did for It Takes Two every time the book came on screen, and the spectacle alone was impressive. I think Split Fiction also had the best gameplay of these titles so far, so it was a great time for me. Gurumin, A Monstrous Adventure. The penultimate Steam Falcom release that I need to play, yes, Xanadu Next is on the list for next year. Gurumin is a wacky tale of monsters, phantoms, and the human girl seeking to save it all. The tone and environment worked perfectly. The gameplay had its moments, but it is rough around the edges, especially with level design and the camera that feels like it is actively trying to kill you at times. It's an oddball in the Falcom lineup, but I can see people really enjoying this adventure. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The first game from Sandfall Interactive was a banger. Innovative gameplay with strong synergies and characters that possess their own unique mechanics, a story that absolutely hooks you from the first moment, and dynamite presentation with a gorgeous soundtrack and creatively directed scene work. A pleasure to play. Slay the Princess. A visual novel narrative horror/love story, depending on the route you play. This is a tightly constructed game with a lot of paths to follow based on your choices, but each one still plays to the themes of the game. I won't spoil much more because this game is best experienced as blind as you can be. Final Fantasy VI. The first Final Fantasy game I have ever played, and it was a great experience. I've watched others play previous and subsequent Final Fantasy games, and 6's blend of important characters and unique magic builds still stands out to me as a great base to work from. I look forward to playing more games in the series, but I'm already becoming that stereotype for the series of the first game I played was the best mentality. Final Fantasy VI was a delightful experience. Bokura. A mind-bending co-op adventure that I started with my friend Golden Drummer 730, and then our schedules were just not working out since. Haven't finished it, but in the new year we'll do so. Right, Goldie? Suikoden 2. The Suikoden game that is held up as the best in the series. I found Suikoden 2 a significant improvement in some areas, mainly gameplay and main character depth, while not hitting the same in other areas as Suikoden 1's brisk story with greater narrative consequence. Solid continuation to the series that deepens the world and systems of the original. Gryffindor Academy. An indie RPG that I honestly was having a great time with until the difficulty balancing went absolutely nuts in a later chapter. The main idea is that you are constantly switching out equipment and skills to get the best results, but that started to turn into a grind as you tried to get the random equipment that would help with a single battle, and then have to change it all around for the next one. Potential was and still is there. I enjoyed the story, I think the characters were good and the gameplay quick to pick up on, but I was left disheartened by the execution. Wordplay. I am a fan of word games, and wordplay scratched that itch. You're using Scrabble scoring to try and complete levels, and as you progress you get special abilities, tiles, and more while facing off against new challenges. This is a game I'll boot up on occasion to give another try as I try to beat Legendary mode. Dragon Quest III Remake. The first of the Erdrick trilogy, Dragon Quest III Remake was a fun adventure with plenty of opportunity for customization. It is considered one of the best Dragon Quest games, and I developed a lot of appreciation for it. I also now see how unique it was compared to the games that came before now that the remakes of those games have released. Atelier Ryza 2. The Ryza adventures continue now in the city. Ryza 2 has more open lands to explore, a plot around memories and ancient mysteries, and continued improvement of the alchemy system. Ryza is a lovable protagonist, and if you're looking for a good blend of cozy and adventure, the Ryza games are a solid place to go. I will be getting to Ryza 3 next year, don't you worry. Super Metroid. The first Metroid game I've played, I started playing it via the Switch SNES emulation while waiting for the next big release to come out. I know it's a quick game, but unfortunately finding time to finish it has been challenging, but despite its age, the game's exploration and thrill of discovery and atmosphere is unmatched. Mass Effect 1. I wanted to give Mass Effect a try since Knights of the Old Republic was a big part of my younger gaming years, and I wanted to see what BioWare's big space franchise had to offer. It was a good experience, some standout moments with amusing characters that I'm hoping to discover more about when I play the second game. I also anticipate that's when more of the decisions with bigger consequences might happen. No Sleep for Kaname Date. The newest I, the Somnium Files release had some wild character antics, a decent enough plot, and a new escape room-inspired design idea that could come to the main games in the future. I had a good time with the game, if a little frustrated by some design choices in the escape room sequences. I won't object to more Date, Aiba, Mizuki, and more. A Way Out. Hazelight's original co-op adventure that me and my friend decided to go back to in order to get the full Hazelight experience. The narrative was interesting, although the ending didn't make us feel great. Gameplay was more basic, but still had fun moments, and my poor friend never wants to do a vehicle section ever again because they're always stuck as the driver. Sorry about that. Maybe in the next game? Trails in the Sky First Chapter. I count myself fortunate that the first ever remake of a game whose original I had played and loved before turned out so well. Sky First Chapter is an incredible remake that cleverly incorporates the new hybrid system backwards while doing things no Falcom title has managed before with seamless area maps and a simultaneous worldwide release. Sky Second Chapter can't come soon enough. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles. I'm currently in the final chapter of Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles, so just know you'll be getting much more full thoughts on this game not long into the new year. Overall, the storyline has lived up to its promise, and the fun of the tactical arrangements hits that sweet spot. I do have issues with the progression and balancing of the game, but we'll see how things play out in the final battles. Current impressions are very positive. Age of Mythology Retold. This remade version of the classic real-time strategy game has been the new one for me and my co-op play partner to go through. As a complete noob, though, it is taking some time to unlearn Age of Empires strategies to adjust to Age of Mythology. Wasting armies with my Titan, though, has been great, so still, a solid experience. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 Remake. I beat Dragon Quest 1 in this collection and decided to give Dragon Quest a little break before starting on 2. 1 is a unique experience unlike any RPG I've played with the solo protagonist, but hit that adventure fun of Dragon Quest, and I'm looking forward to a richer, more story-driven experience for the second game when I have the time to play it in the new year. Demon School. The most recent game to get a video from me is Demon School, an indie RPG with a strategy angle, but in some ways feels more like a puzzle game than anything else. I like the characters and vibes of the game and left satisfied despite the large cast preventing the writing from going too deep into the narrative. The art direction took this horror anime style that really worked over the entirety of the playthrough. Octopath Traveler 0. The newest RPG for me, which I know will be a long journey, but I've begun heading down the various paths. Still very early on, but I've got an 8+ member party now and can start implementing more of the creative strategies this system offers. I am curious how things are going to develop in the story, but for now I'm just along for the ride. Is This Seat Taken? An absolute gem of a puzzle game where you have to cater to the whims of the worst people/shapes imaginable while trying not to disrupt the good people/shapes. It's basically the opposite of the turn off your brain game, but a more cozy puzzler with some additional plot to keep you invested. I've been having a blast, and just know that if you are wearing too much cologne or you forgot to shower this day, I personally hate you. And that's all the games I played for the first time in 2025. A good lineup, predictably RPG heavy. There are several games I wanted to get to play this year but didn't have the time for, such as the Lunar Collection, Fuga Melodies of Steel 3, and Dispatch. Hopefully I'll find the time for them next year. Now though, it's time to talk about the standouts, and 2025 is a standout year specifically in the non-AAA space, along with the affordable game space. The best games of 2025 are almost universally priced lower than the standard price for the biggest games. Some examples I will give are Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Blueprints, Hollow Knight Silksong, Dispatch, The Seance of Blake Manor, and more. I'm glad to see such success stories which made up for what I would term a rather dire year for major studios who are growing even more out of touch in the gaming sphere. Here's hoping they learn some lessons from that. Now for my honorable mentions before we get to the grand prize. To start things off, we have a game that I haven't talked about at all in this video because while its full release was this year, I played it for the first time when it was in early access years ago. It also fits in with those other games I was talking about, well-reviewed, reasonably priced games before, and it is, of course, Hades 2. The sequel to my Game of the Year for 2020 is a blast to play. Malinois plays differently from Zagreus, but the adjustment was fun as I learned to play with a whole new set of abilities, weapons, and more. The game embraced everything the first game had while refining some things to give a stronger challenge in the initial runs, while also diversifying the gameplay with 2 different runs to go on. I liked seeing new myths and heroes incorporated into the Hades style, and simply put, it was a great experience. Supergiant makes great games, and that does not change here. Given its familiarity though, Hades 2 does have to settle for honorable mention, but in a less stiff competition year, this masterful sequel could have easily taken the top spot. Next up, we have Split Fiction, which simply is the best of Hazelight's work. No other developer has cornered the market quite like Hazelight has, although I'm starting to see signs that other companies are recognizing that. Split Fiction had a decent enough plot that mainly manifested in very creative and distinct levels. The blend of sci-fi and fantasy through the 2 different authors was amazing, and there are some side levels that are just bonkers. I had an absolute blast with this game, and there was no experience that matched it this year. Also, those visuals are absolutely stunning, the sort of spectacle I can really get behind, and then I talked about it before, I'll talk about it again. This is the best gameplay that Hazelight has made across the board. So many different ways and mechanics to really engage in the co-op, puzzles to solve. It was a great time. Which brings us to the finale, where I will reveal that this year I saw 2 highly deserving games battle it out, and I wrestled with it and decided to award both. For our best remake/remaster of the year, we have Trails in the Sky First Chapter. It fell off to me to award Trails in the Sky First Chapter Game of the Year as a remake. I've given honorable mention to remakes before, but Game of the Year seemed too far. However, I also wanted to recognize just how brilliant this remake was at capturing the original, and looking forward to Second Chapter next year, I knew I needed to decide now how I would recognize remakes going forward, since if Second Chapter matches the quality of First Chapter, then this spot will be reserved for it at the end of the year. The original was brilliantly captured in its new visual style, the vibrant world feels even more so, the vocal performances are almost all amazing, and the gameplay is a great blend of old and new systems to make a uniquely Sky hybrid combat system that is incredibly accessible. If you have never played a Trails game, this is the one to start with, and I hope you enjoy it. Falcom knocked it out of the park. However, with Sky First Chapter out of the way, there was a clear winner for Game of the Year. The game that brought the most excitement and joy to me, that is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The gameplay innovates well on the RPG formula, and in general, this game is simply a love letter to the JRPGs that I think do not get the recognition they deserve from the gaming public. I hope for many, then Clair Obscur can be that gate to the wonders of the genre. The presentation blows me away, from the vocal performances to the music, and that opening couple hours of Clair Obscur is truly unmatched at setting tone and establishing the world and stakes. I could make a video that is longer than those opening hours, talking about how masterfully Sandfall Interactive made, written, performed, and animated that opening is. Clair Obscur is a triumph. Now, I know there's also been a ton of discourse about Clair Obscur, and I'm not wading into that in this video. This is a celebration video, and believe you me, I know that discourse is far from done. Everyone remembers how pervasive Persona 5 comparisons became after that game's release. Well, Clair Obscur is going to be Persona 5 on steroids, you mark my words. I'm already seeing articles about games for 2026 being labeled as the next Clair Obscur. For now, I want to enjoy the game that these talented developers brought into being, as it is crowned my Game of the Year for 2025. Thank you all for watching this year. I will be back early in 2026 with my preview for the upcoming year, but you have all made this another fun year, and I'm looking forward to the next. Have a great rest of the year, and happy gaming.